So Masteries, I haven't personally unlocked them all. I don't have enough tokens, and some of the conditions are a little bit difficult. But I do believe I understand how they all work. So I'll just take them from the top. Banker's quite powerful if you can stand to have a weak early game. His ability is to generate double coins from chests. He starts with 10 coins. His big one is every 5 levels you can double your coin count. If you can actually stand to finish 5 levels without actually spending anything, Banker will end up with a tremendous amount of cash. But it's a bit of a long game and it's a bit difficult. Barbarian, you will kill strangers if you cannot afford them, and they will give you rotting heads. Rotting heads will, I believe, for a number of seconds, reduce the amount of damage you take by the number of seconds left on the rotting head. And it's like you get 5 seconds, and then it reduces as time ticks down. So the point of Barbarian, I believe, is to kill strangers and then charge through as many cells as your life will allow. I'm not a big fan. There is a time and a place for that kind of play, though. Commander, you generate a lot of familiars, so they just wander around. They also have a 2-charge ability to pass 10 turns, which means your familiars will just wander around 10 cells for free. Useful. Exorcist is based around destroying omens and gaining souls for removing omens. It's a bit niche, and unless you're getting a lot of omens, the generator soul isn't that useful. Destroying a random omen for 6 charges is quite expensive. It can save your life, but you're probably honestly better off playing a more powerful class and just restarting if you get a terrible omen. Firefly is interesting. You're not hurt by burning cells anymore, so that's useful. And it generates flares, and it generates burning cells. The main point of Firefly is that if you're playing there's a particular kind of build you can go through where it's based around the friendly fire item, which causes strangers to emit flares. And if you have Firefly, it means that you can still collect loot, because otherwise a friendly fire will quite often mean that you just can't pick up an awful lot of cash on a level. So it's a bit niche, but there are uses. Hunter just generates minions and reduces stage power every 2 levels by the number of minions. It should be worth pointing out actually that the per level, or the number of charges powers, they don't work unless you've unlocked them, and if you have charged them up, you don't have to use them until you want to, so you can hold on to one until you really need it. Immortal, exchange 1 max life for an extra revive. Considering that at the point where you're going to be making mistakes and finding a lot of monsters are probably doing more damage than your max life will allow, an extra revive is actually good. So, and their other ability, when you revive, to double your lives. Yeah, Immortal is actually quite nice. Knight has been described on one of the Steam guides as planning to fail, which I really like. It's a very good description. You start with defense, and you gain 3 defense every 5 charges. And also when you spend cash, you're reducing damage by playing Knights, and when you select Knight, you're expecting to get hurt, but Knight is just sort of slowing down the process of getting killed. It's good for early play when you're really starting to feel your way through it, but it's maybe not too great at the end, but it does have a place. Prophet is very niche. Prophet is useful for unlocking the requirements I think it's actually Prophet that requires you to have a certain number of points to get the next level of Prophet. It is indeed. If you want to get Prophet level 3, you need at least 3,000 points at the end of a quest. So Prophet increases XP gain, which makes you level up faster, which gets you more tokens. Also gives you more points, because points are generally just your XP. So Prophet is useful for unlocking Prophet, which is fair, because the requirement to unlock most of the classes is based around what those classes do for you anyway. Their other abilities are 5 charges, gain a token. That is so close to useless as it's not even funny. There are so many better ways of getting a token. I mean, leveling up is a better way of getting tokens. I mean, sure, you're getting something. You're not getting much. The other one is twice as likely to find items that you've never acquired. Profit is what you do when you want to fill out your codex. Go on easy mode, select profit, and then because it's easy mode, you can pick up items and coins and such. You don't have to worry about omens. You can build up an enormous amount of cash because levels are all solvable, so you don't really need any items. And just get the expensive, hard to find items, get the few that you're missing. Profit's good for that, and that's it. Scholar is it's interesting. The idea of Scholar is that you're aiming to get as many items which are reliant upon you completing, are reliant upon you taking turns as possible. And yeah, that's about it. You start with quest for quests, which could mean that you start out with two items that after a it could mean that you start out with after 50 turns you have a it's 50 cells solved, isn't it? But yeah, you may have two items that will combined give you 100 coins. It's a really strong start. Some of the quests are very powerful, so if you can put up with not having any other particularly cool, abilities, Scholar's pretty good. I would consider it as an endgame skill, honestly. Snowflake, I refuse to use Snowflake because I deeply, deeply hate frozen cells. It's based around deliberately freezing cells, and I don't enjoy that. Spy, just check out the previous video. I've gone into depth about exactly what it is that Spy does. Although the only other thing that I didn't mention is that Spy start with 10 hidden cells automatically gleaned. That is so powerful all by itself, because you can find if you make the initial click and it reveals nothing of very much use, look around the edge of the board, see if there's any zeros, because that's 8 solved cells immediately. Survivor, you can generate a lot of souls with Survivor. I don't play a life heavy kind of game personally. There are uses for that. Not my cup of tea. Which is supposedly one of the dominant endgame masteries. It's a gamble and it's difficult to use. The point of which is you gain omens and they give you benefits. So for every omen you have, you apply 1 unit of damage reduction and you remove a stage mod when you enter a stage. In Endless Multiverse, the biggest danger in the later stages is, especially, I think it's in Endless Multiverse 4 and 5 onwards, each stage will have a ludicrous number of mods. And odds are they will interact with each other in such a way that you are guaranteed to die. Unless you have a way of generating an awful lot of mana and you have the Purify spell and you can just remove all stage mods. Which removes a lot of that, but in return, you have to pick omens, or you have to take omens. And usually you'll get them out of chests, which means you won't get to pick which ones you take. Which makes that a very, very risky gamble, because some of the omens, if you, on your first level, get a faulty bomb, then you're dead. You are absolutely dead, unless you have a way of removing countdown timers, which is also possible. Yeah, if you get a good witch run, yeah, sure, you'll be flying, but it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. And Wizard, it's based around the use of magic items. Get a random magic item every 3 charges. When you collect a diamond, collect 20 mana. And the first item shop will only contain magic items. And if you like using them, it's great. It's a little bit too random for my liking. And it's not that powerful unless you pull in a really amazing magic item. So yeah, it's good, and it's probably the first one you'll unlock as well as Banker. Because the only requirement is complete a quest with 5 magic items. It's not that big a deal. Getting the final stage is a bit trickier, but otherwise, yeah, Wizard's okay.